Hello, this is lesson 4.2, adding and subtracting inequalities. On the left page of your spiral notebook, I want you to write 4.2 and the title of this lesson at the top. Split your paper into 4 sections, and when you've done that, you can continue with the video. So please pause the video now. So on the upper left of your notes, I want you to copy what you see on your screen, pause the video, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. So these are the steps of solving inequalities using addition or subtraction. And you'll notice that it's going to sound a lot like solving equations. Okay, so I'm going to show you on the right how I want you to use those steps to solve an inequality. So on the top right, I want you to write this inequality. Negative 10 plus k is greater than or equal to negative 9. And we're going to follow the steps that we wrote on the right there to solve this inequality. So the first step says to circle the variable. I'm going to use a different color to circle the variable. So I'm going to use a red, circle the variable. And then I also want you to draw this line underneath the inequality symbol, just like we did when we were solving equations. Okay, so here we're trying to get k by itself. So if we have a negative 10, we want to make that a 0. And the way to do that is we can put underneath a plus 10. And because we did it to the left side of the inequality, you have to do it to the right side also. You have to do the same operation. We have to add 10. Okay, so now they're both, it's still going to be the same inequality. Okay, so now we draw our little total bar. On the left side, the negative 10s are going to become 0. And you can write the 0 at the top. And then the k is going to go straight down. On the right side, the negative 9 plus 10, that's going to equal positive 1. And then for the inequality symbol, where we do that line, this goes straight down, okay? So then you're going to write a greater than or equal to. So we have k is greater than or equal to 1. All right, so now, sometimes they'll ask you to graph it. So if you graph it, you're just going to draw a number line. And then you'll have here 0, and then 1 will be here. Okay, you could put a negative 1 on the left side, excuse me. Greater than or equal to, that means it's going to be a closed circle on 1, and then you're going to shade it to the right. Okay, so there's your graph. Let's try another one. Okay, so let's write number 2. Number 2 is negative 14 is greater than g plus 6. So again, you're going to circle your variable. So I'm going to use red here, circle G. And then I want you to draw a line underneath the inequality symbol. So now we're trying to get G all by itself. So on this part here, it's being added by, with 6. So to make that 6 plus 6 is 0, we're going to write a minus 6 underneath each, the 6 and underneath the negative 14. Okay, and then on the left side, we have negative 14 minus 6. Remember, this is the same thing as a negative 14 and a negative 6. So here we're going to write underneath, it's going to make a negative 20. And if you did keep change where you add the opposite, you put a plus negative, you'll see that it is a negative 20 because it's a negative 14 plus negative 6. So you could do it that way also. On the right side, the 6's, those are going to cancel out right here. Okay, you could put a 0 on top if you want, but you don't have to. The G is going to go straight down. And then on the inequality, that greater than symbol is just going to fall straight down. Okay, so we're going to make it negative 20 is greater than G. And so then you can box that as your solution, and that's fine. Now, when you graph it, okay, I'm going to just draw a number line first. I need a negative 20, so I'll just put it in the middle. And then a negative 19 will be on the right, and a negative 21 will be on the left. Okay, so when you graph this here, just keep in mind that this is written what I call, it's written backwards. So you want to reverse it so G is leading, and you reverse the inequality. So that way you know which way to really shade on the number line. It's going to be open circle, but then this inequality here says it's less than, and it's pointing to the left. Looks like an arrowhead, so it's going to be, we're going to be shading it to the left. Okay, but you can only use that little tip of how it's pointing when the variable is leading the inequality. Okay, you can't do it when it's reversed. So I always reverse, make sure the variable's in front before I graph. We're going to squeeze in another problem here. Okay, so for the last problem on number 3, for the last problem in this box at least, I want you to write this inequality, and we're going to follow the steps of the other, like we did the other problems where we circle the variable, circle t, draw your line underneath the inequality, and here to get t by itself, because it's being added to 3/4, we're going to subtract 3/4. So now we're dealing with fractions. Okay, and you've got, I'm going to make this line a little bit longer. There we go. And now I'm going to put a subtract 3/4 on the other side. And you just use your fraction rules. So the 3/4 and then minus 3/4 are going to be zeroed out. And then I'm going to write a t underneath. And then on the, I can actually drop the inequality already. It's just going to go straight down. Okay, and so it's going to be less than or equal to. And then on the other side, we have 5 minus 3/4. You can make it improper, or another way of thinking of this is you can make this like 5 whole, like we can think of 5 whole pies, and then we're just going to take 3/4 of that last pie. So you can think of it visually. So here, it's easy to do it when you have a whole number minus a fraction. If I have 5 pies, oops, I'm going to have to put the 5th one down here, okay? And then I'm going to take away a 3/4. So I have to divide that last pie into 4 sections, okay? And then I'm taking away 3 of the 3/4 of that last pie. So I'll go ahead and color it in red, okay? So now, what do I have left? How many pies do I have left? Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have a quarter, a 4th. Okay, so then my answer to this problem, 5 minus 3/4, is 4 1/4. Okay, then you box your answer. Okay, so now the third box on the bottom left, I want you to write this down. Pause the video to do so, and then when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. So we're going to take a fairly simple problem, and we're going to practice using an inequality on this problem. And the problem says to write and solve an inequality, so we want an inequality, not an equation, to find at least how much more money you're going to need. And let's say a jacket costs $34 and you have $21. So this could be written as an equation, but here I want you to practice using inequality symbols. So what we first need to do is we need to figure out what our variable is going to represent. So we're going to use X as our variable. So let's say X is going to represent the amount of money you need. So he'll put X equals the money you need. Okay, and we're going to write out a problem. And we're not going to use equal signs anymore, because the key words is you want to find out at least how much more money you need. And so if X is how much money you need, and then it says here you have $21, you're going to start with that 21, okay, 21, and you're going to add X to it. So that's how much you have, and X is how much you're going to need. And it needs to be at least $34. So in red at the top here, I'm going to write it has to be at least, the words at least, and then in black I'm going to write $34 right here. Okay, so the words at least means we're going to use the inequality for at least, and that inequality is it has to be greater than or equal to 34, since this represents how much money, total money you would have. Okay, 21 plus X. So that has to be greater than or equal to the jacket. And so now we're going to solve this inequality, okay? And it takes time to learn how to write these inequalities. Oops, that is not a marker. There we go. We're going to circle X. We're going to bring down our line underneath the equal sign. And then to get rid of 21, we subtract 21 to each side. Okay, you show your work on both sides. And then you're going to have X, and the inequality goes straight down. And on the other side, we have 13. So when we put our answer, we're just not going to box. We're not going to just box the inequality. We're going to write it as a statement. You're going to say you need at least, okay, again, those words that indicate greater than or equal to $13. So that's how you want to write your answers for those word problems. And that's all for your notes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.